I'd like to call to order the Liberal City Commission for this Tuesday, July 26th. May we have a roll call, please?
Mayor DeNoyer.
Here.
Vice Mayor Aragon.
Here.
Commissioner Carlisle.
Here.
Commissioner Harrison.
Here.
Commissioner Martinez.
Here.
The quorum is present.
Will you please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation as given by Pastor Rex Betty of Faith Tabernacle Church. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, it's a privilege and an honor to be here to pray tonight. I'm here for Jack Jacob. He couldn't be here, so we did a switch. So, opportunity to be here with you to pray. So thank you, and God bless you, and let's pray. Lord, thank you for this day, and I thank you for each one of our commissioners here tonight. Thank you for all those who work for the city to help make Liberal a better place. And I pray, Lord, you'll continue to guide them and direct them. Bless this meeting tonight. I pray you'll give them wisdom in the decisions they have to make. Help those who are making presentations to present their ideas well. And just thank you, Lord, for the city of Liberal. What a blessing it is to be a part of this community. Bless the men and women who work so diligently and so hard. And once again, I pray for our commissioners. I pray for them and their families. Give them good health and strength. I pray that the joy of the Lord will be their strength. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Rex.
Thank you.
First item on the agenda tonight is awards, proclamations, and presentations. Seeing none, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda.
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Harrison with a second by Vice Mayor Aragon. Any discussion on the agenda? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next is the approval of the minutes of the July 12, 2016 regular meeting. Is there any additions or corrections to those minutes? Excuse me.
Your Honor, I make a motion we approve the minutes of July the 12th, 2016 regular meeting.
Motion by Commissioner Carlisle. Will I have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Aragon. Any further discussion on the minutes? All those in favor? Those opposed, motion carries 5-0. Next item is items from citizens. Are there any citizens in the audience that would like to address the commission on non-agenda items? Seeing none, we'll move on to items from groups. Are there any groups in the audience that would like to address the commission on non-agenda items? Again, seeing none, we'll move on to agenda item number 6, which is the consent agenda. All items are considered to be routine by the City Commission and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a commission member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. We have 6A, which is acknowledgement of receipts from the Liberal Metropolitan Area Planning Commission, June 9th and July 5th, 2016 meetings, and the receipt of minutes from the Liberal Planning and Zoning Board Zoning Appeals, June 9th, 2016 meeting.
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Harrison with a second by Commissioner Carlisle. Any discussion on the consent agenda? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item on the agenda is the Resolution 2242, authorizing the offering for sale of general obligation temporary notes, Series 2016-1 of the City of Liberal, Kansas. I have Mr. Parsons.
Mayor and Commissioners, it's not usual for me to be up here so soon. Usually I'm at the tail end of the meeting. This is great. In your packet, there's some information. We have several individuals and companies, organizations involved in creating a development in North Liberal. The immediate use for this property will be for a hotel and a restaurant. The plans are for additional development, retail development in that area. We've gone through the platting process with what needed to be done. That's completed, and so we're ready to go to the next step. I put right before you a little map which shows kind of the scope of and the scale of the project. It's actually two separate projects, a road project, which I have there highlighted in green, and then a water and sewer project, which I have highlighted in yellow. So it goes from essentially old Highway 54 and kind of works its way south to Tucker Road and then on east to Calvert. So you can see it's a good-sized project. On May the 24th, the Commission passed resolutions, 2 resolutions accepting the petitions for those improvements. And so tonight is sort of the next step in that process. Resolution number 2242 is for the issuance of temporary notes to essentially do the interim financing on this project. I'm not going to try and go into the details. That's why we have John Haas here from Ransom Financial. He's the city's financial advisor, and he could answer your questions on that. So,
Mr. Haas, please come forward.
Good evening, Commissioners. It's always a pleasure to be in Liberal. It's even more of a pleasure when it's green in the end of July, coming to see you in standing water. Earlier in the evening, I handed out some information. I'll be happy to share one with the press. This is the numbers based on the petitions that were submitted, how we came up with those numbers. The first part is for the utilities part of the project. Total non-financing costs are estimated to be $590,000 for construction and design and inspection. Total fees for the temporary notes estimated to be about $15,000. Then temporary note interest, if it goes for 2 years, we're estimating at 1.5% interest. Underwriter's discount, we'll send these out for bids, and we'll talk about that in the calendar in a minute. So you add all that up, and that's $630,000 for the portion of those temporary notes. Then what will happen is that those funds will be received by the city and then used for this particular purpose. When the city manager has deemed that the project has been completed, then we put together a statement of final costs and we issue bonds. But we have to put estimates together for that. So you see the total bond issue for the utilities, we're estimating at $657,502.27. Table 2 is for the streets, and it's through the same process. Non-financing cost $268,000. Then at the end of the day, $297,000 for the street portion. Table 3 is a combination of all. You'll see that we're sizing a temporary note issue for $915,000, and then if we actually spend that much money on the project, then once the project is completed, we'll do $955,000 general obligation bond issue. Is it the request of the council, since I don't remember ever doing a special assessment project?
This is our
First one.
commercial.
Okay, so let me go through the process a little bit. Is that once the statement of final cost has been completed, then there'll be assessment notices to each one of the property owners of record. And that notice will be that there'll be a public hearing held on a certain date. And again, this is after the project is completed. So then the property owners have the right to come in and speak to the commissioners on their assessments. Since this is 100% assessment, the commissioners at that time can increase the assessments. Since it's 100%, you're not going to increase it. Or you can decrease the assessments to the individual property owners. With special assessments, you can assess up to 100% or as little as 5%. But as I always remind commissioners, that if you spread or you assess less than what you originally decided to do, then the general public has to pick up the differential. After the public hearing, the city commissioners consider an assessment ordinance. Then we do another mailing to each one of the property owners, telling them what their assessments are, and then they have 30 days, something to that effect, to pay those assessments. And if not, then if there is some assessments paid, then for example, if 100,000 assessments are paid, then we reduce the size of the bond issue from $955 to $855. But once we go through the assessment process, in fact, we had a little town in northeast Kansas, it's like, oh, we've gone through the assessment paying period, but now we sold properties, and they want to pay off their assessments. No, sorry, you can't do that. So then.
Why can't they pay it off, John?
Well, because you've set your assessments, you've sold bonds, and you can't prepay the bonds, so that puts the city in a bad situation. So because we're giving them the opportunity, if they pay it, we lower the size of the bond issue, then everything's good. As some people in this area said, that doesn't seem fair. It's just, there is just no other way to do that, because you still would have to pay interest on the bonds, but they're not paying their interest on their assessments, then the city at large would have to pick up the difference. So again, they have the time to put in the prepayments. After that time's expired, we resize the bond issue, come back and call for the sale of the bonds, and then sell the bonds at that point in time, and then spread the assessments, work with staff to get those to the county clerk with that. So that's how the assessment process starts. The last page is a calendar. What you're considering tonight in your resolution is passing a resolution approving the time and date for the sale of the temporary notes. August 23rd at your second meeting in August is the date that we designated to do so. The time of the sale will be at 11 o'clock, and then I'll be back down at 5:30 to go with the results of the sale. We could have the sale here, but it's easier to have it in Wichita, so bond counsel has time to put together all of their documents and such. But you'll see each one of the bids that have been received for the temporary notes. Typically and always is that we'll give all the financial institutions and liberal notice to give them the opportunity to bid on the temporary notes. We always want the local folks to be involved. On the 23rd, if for whatever reason we need to reduce the size of the temporary note issue, we can at that point in time. Visiting with city staff this afternoon, there's some negotiations going on with the developers that might reduce the size of the temporary notes, but we can take the bids for $915, and if it ends up being less than that, then we just tell the winning bidder that the size of the issue has been reduced, and I've never had any problems in doing that. September 15th is the closing. Chris puts money in the bank and starts using money. You approve improvements, and staff cuts the checks, and you sign them, and those things are paid. Any questions or comments for me at this point in time?
I got one question. Is there any risk to the city of Liberal?
Well, a number of years ago, there was a policy that was approved by the city commission. Frankly, I apologize, I can't remember who was on the commission or not. The point of that policy is to reduce the exposure to the city from the issuance of the temporary notes. Dave, or Commissioner Harrison, is there any risk to the city of Liberal? Yes, there is. All you can do is minimize the risk. The policy, if I remember right, I can't even remember where I was last night, so a couple of years with the city of Liberal policy. Mark, you might want to, can you address
25%. And then there was an additional requirement of 50% in the form of an LOC.
Right.
And the LOC, was more of a performance with the bank, but that's what we've been discussing with is.
So our total exposure is basically 25% of the project, basically.
As a baseline,
Yeah.
yes, as a baseline.
Right.
And that's what we were talking with Pinnacle Group and the others. That is just as a baseline.
Is there any personal guarantees on these?
I do not like personal guarantees.
An LOC is pretty personal.
Yeah, and what I do like, Commissioner Carlisle, is that somebody can give me their financial statement and say they're personally guaranteed, and I don't have a clue if that financial statement is good or not. However, if he has to go to the banker and the banker provides a letter of credit and the banker gets a letter of personal guarantee, then he knows what that gentleman or that lady owns. So I've gotten away from personal guarantees because sometimes they're not worth the paper they're written on. Not saying anything about the individuals in this project, I'm just not from Liberal, and even if my best friend said he would give a personal guarantee, I'm not sure he's shooting straight either. So we've gotten away in recommending personal guarantees and having a bank that does business in town, or we're comfortable with providing a letter of credit.
We've had a few folks walk away because we asked for a letter of credit, and we just had to let them go.
Well, and the situation and what we're discussing is, you know, the amount of involvement in the property and what we're actually putting in the utilities. And it makes that property in development. We do have two of the parties that are already going to start construction, so the development would be there. So that's what we are discussing, and, you know, we'll keep the commission informed going on, and should that change, we would, you know, talk to the commission.
One of the things that you're shooting for, Commissioner Harrison, is make it more hurtful to walk away than it is to stay in it.
Absolutely.
And that's what you're trying for. And sometimes you make amendments to what the city is required, but it's all subject to
I was here
negotiation.
when we rewrote those deals. So.
Yeah. So, but I've had a number of, Commissioner Carlisle, I have a number of cities goes, oh, well, we get personal guarantees, and then the specials go bad, and they draw on the personal guarantee, and there's nothing there. Yeah, and then they start listening to John, so.
Your Honor, I make a motion that we adopt or approve resolution number 2242.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Harrison with a second by Vice Mayor Aragon. Is there any further discussion or questions for Mr. Haas or on the offering for sale of the bonds? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Mr. Mayor, bond councilors requested a roll call vote on this particular item.
All right, roll call vote. Commissioner Martinez?
Yes.
Commissioner Carlisle?
Yes.
Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Aragon?
Yes.
Mayor Denoyer, yes.
Okay, thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you in about 30 days.
Thank you, Mr. Haas.
Thank you. Look forward to seeing that. Thank you, guys.
Next item up on the agenda will be agenda item number 8, which is development plan and agreement for A and V duplexes. We will start with a public hearing. I now declare the public hearing officially open. Have all the legal and proper notices been filed?
Yes, that's you.
All right, I invite staff to testify on this matter.
This is an RHID application. Dr. Zanali is developing 4 duplex units. And we had submitted to you earlier a development plan. That was a draft development plan. The only changes that we've made to that is that the county did help me to split the lots out. Lisa Olson, she platted it to split the lot in half for phase 1. And Angela Eichmann gave me a value for each of those lots to make this development plan accurate as to what the original taxes are on the property and what the improved taxes would be. If you have any questions for me or Dr. Zanali is here.
All right, is there any questions for Karen or the developer, Dr. Zanali?
Dr. Zanali, thank you for meeting it.
Absolutely.
All right, being no further comments, I declare the public hearing closed. All right, next item up on the agenda is agenda item number 8B, which is ordinance 4469, which would establish the Village of the Plaza RHID.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion we approve ordinance number 4469.
We'll second that. Motion by Commissioner Carlisle and a second by Commissioner Martinez. Any discussion? Again, from the City of Liberal and its citizens, we want to thank the developers, Dr. Zanali and his family, for developing this property and providing much-needed housing in the City of Liberal. Thank you so much. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item up on the agenda is agenda item number 9, which is resolution 2241, a vehicle abatements, plural. Kevin.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Resolution 2241 for the abatement of various junk vehicles and nuisance These were at 1410 Carpenter Drive and 2194 Xenia. These vehicles, one was located on blocks and was not in running condition. The other had outdated registration and tags for almost a year. These vehicles have been removed by the property owner, so no violation exists anymore. So we would like to, I believe, pull resolution number 2241.
There would be no needed action. And that's great.
Yeah, thank you.
guys worked.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good work.
Glad everyone complied and have to take action. Thank you, Kevin.
All right, next item up on the agenda is agenda item number 10, which is Senior Citizen Housing Program. Karen.
As we discussed at the budget meeting, the senior housing program is run out of the funds that were allocated to it, and proposed to put additional funds from the builder incentive line item to the senior housing program line item as requested.
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve the transfer of funds.
Motion by Commissioner Harrison. Do I have a second? Second by Vice Mayor Aragon. Any further discussion?
Karen, I just want to thank you. That budget meeting was what, Saturday or something, or Monday?
Monday last week.
You've already moved on it, and I think this is a great deal for our senior citizens, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Those opposed, motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Karen. Next item is agenda item number 11, commercial washer and extractor purchase for the fire department. Ms. Keating?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, I was just looking at the agenda. I don't come to you with anything real special. That Vactron thing that you're fixing to see, I think we need to play with that at the fire department a little bit.
Yeah, we have a big washing machine here.
What we come to you for tonight is a new washing machine extractor for our department. We've had one since early 90s. I don't know exactly when we bought our first one. It finally bit the dust. I think it was back in December of last year. We've had this thing repaired before, and the repairs on it were extremely expensive. The company comes out of Kansas City, and the moment they leave Kansas City, they start the clock, and we start paying, and then we pay them until they get back. We don't even know if the parts are still available to fix this machine. So we started looking at some different new technology machines. Actually, Captain Brian Fornwalt that's back here, he's the one that did most of the legwork on this. A little bit about the machine. We use this for two reasons. One, to sustain the life of our PPE that you guys approve. We get a lot of soot, a lot of debris, carcinogens that are in there. We have to get that stuff out of there. And then the bloodborne pathogens that we may encounter on any type of call, we don't want to take that home to our families, so we need a heavy-duty machine that will extract all this out and make the gear safe for us. In looking for the new units, Captain Fornwalt did go to a local vendor here, and they directed us to one of the bidders in Oklahoma City. They said they really weren't interested in a commercial unit, so he sought 3 bids, one out of Illinois, one out of Wichita, and one out of Oklahoma City. The actual low bid was out of Illinois. It did not include any shipping or installation cost on that. The next lowest bid was Commercial Laundry out of Wichita, and then the one that they actually recommended from the local vendor ended up being the highest bidder out of Oklahoma City. Our recommendation is to accept the bid from Commercial Laundry out of Wichita for a 40-pound washer extractor machine in the amount of $9,697.20, which includes installation and shipping, and this would come out of our new equipment machinery fund.
Any questions for Deputy Chief Polton?
Have you guys talked to somebody that's got this machine?
Actually, Brian, he spoke to at least 2 departments I know of. One was Winfield, and who was the other? Ford County.
Okay.
And they were happy with the machine.
Good.
Our former machine was a 55-pound machine, could handle 55 pounds of laundry, and that's almost excessive sometimes. So 40-pound machine will handle 3 sets of gear, and that's typically what we wash each time.
How do you dry it?
We've got a commercial washer, or commercial dryer that we share that is actually owned by the county.
Any further questions? Call for a motion.
Mayor, I'll make a motion, we approve the commercial laundry bid for $9,697.20.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Commissioner Carlisle with a second from Commissioner Martinez. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next item up on the agenda will be the purchase of a Vactron for the water department. Mr. Burke?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. As usual, when I come for you, I'm here to beg. Basically, Wally's been after me to get one of these since I've been here, but with all the underground utilities that's going in, fiber optic, it's just about become a necessity for us to pothole and find the phone lines, gas lines, before we even start digging our own main lines. And so what we're looking at is a combination pothole or Vactron machine. And we're trying to we're going with the super gas because that can give us a smaller trailer, a smaller tank, and sometimes we work in tight spots. So we're trying to stay as small a unit as we can and do the job we need to do. And of course, I just found out the fire department needs to use it.
We got clothes too.
But I mean, we also just owe Ruben a favor from Ulysses because we're going to put the school sign there at 15th and Western. He came over and potholed, and we were down about, 8 foot deep trying to find the water line and all the utilities so we could set it, so.
For the commission, you and I talked prior to the meeting, but for the commission, what exactly does this Vactron do?
Basically, it's a high-pressure washer that you take the wand and you just kind of work it, and then you use the vac part, stick the hose and nozzle, and you just suck dirt right out, and you can suck a hole. Marlon from Vermeer came out and demonstrated at McLaughlin. We actually, where we had some phone lines and gas lines around a meter can, backed around it, pulled the can up, pulled dirt, raised it, so we can use it, to clean out our sand traps, even our underground reservoirs, valve boxes, raised valves. There's multiple uses we can do with it.
In some instances, you were telling me that when you get the locate, they tell you where the line is. They don't tell you how deep it is. And
they don't tell you how deep it is, and they'll put a line right here. Well, it can be 2 feet on either side of the line, so you got a 4-foot area to play with. Well, sometimes 4 foot in an alley, and you've got phone lines, gas lines, water lines. All of a sudden, that 4 foot for each line is a lot to play with. And we have done some phone line repair. We've had to pay for some gas line repair just simply because, hey, they were, a couple times it was our mistake. Couple times it was the locator's mistake. And we're trying to eliminate mistakes, especially with hitting gas lines.
Yeah. Any further questions for Mr. Burke on the Vactron?
Yeah, I'm looking at Ditch Witch bid, okay? And it needs a hydraulic pump for it. I look at Vermeer's and hydraulic kit's not included. Do you need hydraulic?
Well, actually, you caught me with my pants down. Yeah, we had a miscommunication there. And actually, I was going to be coming back in 2 weeks to beg to add the hydraulic unit.
Really?
Yeah. Because when we talked to them, we were looking, the hydraulics units also runs a valve machine. And we're looking at, we wanted a valve machine that we could plug to our mapping system, which he said, well, we could add that part later. We're thinking the hydraulic, but no, the hydraulics is the actual hydraulic valve machine, hydraulic system, which comes with hydraulic ports, so we could run our hydraulic throw-out pump rather than pulling around probably
So
800.
How much more are you talking about, Cal? Wait.
Now you're gonna make me,
14,065.
So
Yeah.
it's still the cheapest.
Yeah, it would be 61,955, and we're looking at, the Vactron can give us 1,000 CFM with the small unit.
61 what?
955.
And McLaughlin has the hydraulic on it.
Well,
Neither of them have a valve turner, right?
yeah, the McLaughlin does not have the valve turner
So-
until I get to the bigger unit, and he sent me a price on it today with the hydraulic unit, 104,000, so I said, okay,
So the Vactron, we're getting everything that we need.
for 61,955. And the only,
Your Honor, I make a motion that we allow staff to purchase the Vactron unit with the hydraulics as a cost not to exceed $61,955.
I'll second that one.
Save you from coming back.
Yeah.
you just didn't want to see me again,
Yeah.
tell the truth.
We want you to have the stuff.
Okay, thank you very
We have a
much.
motion by Commissioner Harrison with a second by Commissioner Carlisle. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Those opposed, motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Cal.
Yeah, thank you.
And how many loads of laundry can you do for $61,955?
They can't do any laundry if they don't have a water line.
There you go.
ram on the back, you're gonna get muddy, so we'll need it.
That's why I brought Wally, because he was actually the guy who did the demo.
You definitely get muddy.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Next
guys.
item on the agenda is agenda item number 13, which will be the city manager's report.
Mayor, Commissioners, have Daniel here. To my understanding, next week, we're hopefully going to start the south part of Kansas Avenue. But it is fairly close, and if you can tell the Commissioners where we are at on the lights going up.
On the lights, they got from Hickory all the way to Pine and then coming back. They had like one more light to make it all the way to Hickory coming back north. And I talked to Michael from B&B and he said that by Friday, I hope they got everything light on the south side.
Cool.
And then they'll move on to, from 6th Street going to 11th.
Awesome.
All right.
So if everything goes okay, we have lights on Friday on that side.
Anyway, that project we've had a lot of people calling and excited. At a later date, then the markings will show up, the permanent markings. So we're also looking into additional marking in areas of the town. So
As soon as we get those paintbrushes in.
And the temperature, ambient temperature.
But other than that, all the departments, we wish the kids luck that are up at state tournaments and maybe moving beyond. But baseball, as far as the Babe Ruth and Cal Ripken age, they're finished for this year. We will be coming back and sitting down and discussing what all improvements we need to make for next year and start on those on the project. Our softball is co-ed's continuing, but all the departments are keeping ahead. There's things that we've got to go back and redo, but our weed killing continues, but all the departments are doing some great things, and we should have the Mary Frame.
Yeah, they pouring the sour today. Lazama's doing that, and they're going to do first all the way around the playground, and they got a wheelchair ramp. They got attached to the parking lot.
Cool.
And then they'll be done probably tomorrow with that.
Then we'll come back in and mulch it, and
And I think all the mulches.
I know this is a project you've been waiting
They
for.
need to figure it out once they finish.
But there is some other improvements I know being discussed with Mary Frame, so it is one of those that I appreciate all the departments and what they're doing and trying to keep ahead, and they will continually do that. And if there's any questions by the commission, I'll be glad to answer those.
Any questions for the city manager? Thank you, Mark. Next item on the agenda is items from commissioners. We'll start with Vice Mayor Aragon.
I just thank all the city staff for all you do. You know, you're working hard, and parks look really good, and city's looking good, so thank you all very much.
Commissioner Harrison.
We have the best employees and the best staff in the place in the country, I believe. I really appreciate everything everybody does. I have one question for Shirley, because I get asked this about every day. Where are we at on the crematory issue?
Judge Ambrosier denied the city's motion for a judgment on the verdict, or judgment on the pleadings. So the matter has been continued for discovery for the parties to exchange information. And a pretrial conference has been scheduled for sometime in October. I can probably tell you what date that is.
So what happens?
I'm
What
sorry,
happens from that point forward, I guess?
From the point of the pretrial conference? Well, excuse me, the motions that the court heard basically was the city's attorney filed a motion and said, just on the basis of the appeal that was filed, there is no way that the appellants can prevail. And the judge said he wasn't ready to rule on that at that time. He's going to give the appellants an opportunity to try to get their case together.
Okay.
That's not to say that at some point in time that there may not be another motion for summary judgment that the city files that might be granted, but if we assume not, the pretrial conference would set out what the issues are that the judge is going to hear, where the parties exchange witness and exhibit lists, and if the matter has not been resolved by that time, it would be set for trial probably within 60 days of the pretrial. Does that answer your question?
It does, thank you. That's it.
All right, Commissioner Carlisle.
Appreciate city staff. I think Main Street Danny doing a good job. Also, Pam McAveen got these little cards. Had me bring them all to you. Want to personally invite you to the open house. I'm done.
That it? Commissioner Martinez.
Just want to second what these guys said about Main Street. Looks good. The lights, you drive down at nighttime. Can't wait to get the rest of it paved. I think it'll be a nice cruise. Appreciate everybody working hard. We're short-handed, and what you guys do. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Martinez. Just a couple of quick reminders. Council of Governments Thursday morning, 7 o'clock, at Stewart County Community College. And then Tuesday night, August the 2nd, National Night Out. Chief, do you have any more information on that? Or we just mentioned the time is what, starting at 5:30?
Yeah, you're all invited. See you there.
Is that Tuesday night?
Tuesday night, August the 2nd, yes, sir. I do appreciate city staff. The city is looking good. Do appreciate the citizens stepping up and taking care of the weeds. It's a good problem to have when we have to mow as often as we do, because that means we're getting the needed moisture. So I want to thank folks for, we've not had too many environmental abatements that have come before us yet this year. So I want to thank those folks for keeping the city clean. And staff doing a tremendous job staying on top of those that fail to do so that we can continue to promote Liberal as being the city of choice. That being said, we'll move on to agenda item number 15, vouchers.
Your Honor, make a motion we approve the vouchers in the amount of $1,023,798.72.
Motion by Commissioner Aragon. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Carlisle. Any discussion on the vouchers? Seeing none, call for the vote. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Meeting adjourned. Better do something nice.
Nothing like a speedy court system.
And then it'll be 60 days after that.